So I realized at the time of me making this video, A, I kind of wasted my time with doing the previous webcam recording, and B, I'm actually only speaking to 4 of you, but the fact that there are 4 of you in the first place is super important to me, and I figured I just wanted to, extend my appreciation to that. That means you guys are interested in what I'm basically doing, away from the keyboard and with the rest of my life as well, which is extremely flattering, and I'm also extremely grateful for your current and potentially continued support, both in the financial as well as the, I guess, emotional, mental sense, whatever you're gonna call it. You know what I mean. You're great, and I love you. So, I really only have 4 bullet points to talk about here. It's been a very, very busy month in terms of things that have happened and things that are going to happen. But I guess the first thing I want to touch on is, YouTube and Twitch, how those have been going. You guys have been around. Those of you 4 that I'm looking at right now, y'all already know what I've been up to. Twitch has been just absolutely flying off the handle with progress. It's been crazy. I'm actually really excited to be doing Twitch, since it seems like that may be probably the new better way to do things, to just live stream, because I'm growing far faster on Twitch than I am on YouTube. I think I've only gotten around 5, what is that? I'm almost at 1,000 on Twitch. For YouTube, I think outside of that one reminder in terms of natural growth, I think I've only gotten like 50. And I'm doing like 2, sometimes 3 videos a week. But either way, it seems like Twitch has a lot more promise, so I might be putting my efforts more towards that. That seems to be kind of a thing. But I would still like to do YouTube. I'm not going to give it up. It's just a little discouraging to see YouTube falling behind as aggressively it is. But if it picks up, hey, that's great. I'm not going to give up on it. At least just yet for the time being. Growth is always hard, especially at that tier, so we're just gonna stick it out and as long as we can, see what happens there. So I guess moving on to other stuff beyond that, since that's probably what y'all are here for. So what was it? Today is the 8th, and then I think that means the 4th was Friday. Let me see. It was either the 3rd or the 4th. Okay, so the 3rd was Friday. So February 3rd, I'm feeling a little down in the dumps lately, and Cody's like, we should go out for drinks or, go grab a bite to eat on Friday night. And I was like, hell yeah, that sounds good. Let's go do that. And we go to this place, and then we have a bite to eat, and we just kind of hang out for a bit, and then we take off. And he's like, hey, there's a video game store down the road we kind of want to check out. I was like, okay, yeah, you know what? So him and his girlfriend were in separate cars. I was with him, and then his girlfriend went separately. So after that, since she leaves first, she gets there first. But we're leaving, and we're about to turn in. We're about to make a left-hand turn into oncoming traffic. It's about 3 lanes across. So what happens there is we're just waiting in the turn lane, waiting for those to clear up. So the first 2 lanes are stopped. There's even somebody flashing their lights at us, signaling us to go, because we're the only car in that turn lane. So I didn't see any other cars in the 3rd lane, since it was empty. It appeared to be a bus/turn lane. I was not the one that made the call ultimately, because I was the passenger, but had I been in that exact same seat, I would have come to the conclusion that it would have been okay to make that turn. So the turn is made, essentially, or not essentially, that's actually what happened. But as we're coming into the parking lot, a lady unfortunately T-bones us going 45 miles an hour. And because, we're I guess if I do it this way, it kind of makes more sense. But if you try to look at it from my perspective, it's pretty much going to be reversed. So traffic's coming down this way, and then we're turning this way. I guess if you're in Europe, it might make a little bit more sense that way. But we're turning this way, and then 1 lane, 2 lanes good. And this 3rd lane, as we're coming in, car barrels through. And then I'm on this side of the car, by the way, and then this is where the driver's side's at. So immediately gets me on my side. And then Cody's fine. We went to the doctor on Monday just to get things checked up, because Cody actually does have some previous health conditions that would have him be, reason to be suspect that there might be, later effects that you're not made aware of. That usually is the case with car accidents and things like that. I would say I got out pretty okay. In terms of, you know, being 100% fine, I'm not 100% fine, but in terms of like actually breaking any bones or having a concussion or anything like that, I don't have anything like that. I'm really stiff and I've got some headaches. But when I went to the doctor, she was like, you know what, that's actually really the extent of it. You're just gonna be really stiff and you're just gonna have headaches for the next couple of days. If it goes on, you know, if it stays the same after 2 weeks, come on back in, or if your symptoms get worse, come on back in. And thankfully, you know, their insurance is good enough to cover 100% of my bills. So if my symptoms did get worse or anything like that, I would just go back in, and then that would be that. They would re-diagnose, give out whatever. But she just said, yeah, if you need to take an aspirin, take an aspirin. Just make sure you're not overstretching yourself, all that stuff. Heat packs works out. If you can find a good masseuse, I'm not going to say that's something you have to do, but it definitely wouldn't hurt. So that's kind of a point of interest for me. And that's really the closed page on that book. He's got a lot of other stuff on his end, but if you guys catch him in the stream, I would make sure not to necessarily mention it. I'm just talking to you guys because I feel like, you know, as a Patreon subscriber, you guys kind of deserve to know more or less full details about what's going on. Except for, you know, things that I don't really deem necessary to tell anybody. But if it's something I would tell my friends in real life, then, you know, I feel like you guys have earned the right, definitely, to be here, and you guys are here because you want to know. So as you know, as you guys being the audience, I feel like I should tell you. So that's what's going on there. Next topic I have going on here is car repairs. Not having to do with his car, with my car, them being completely separate things, but when I talk about it in the same video, they sound like they are related. They're not. They are completely different things. They're completely different automobiles. So with mine going on, my heater went out the other day when it started snowing, and I was like, oh shit, this is stupid. On top of that, it also turns out to be a safety hazard because without a defroster, your windows get fogged up, and then you have to, you have to basically roll down your windows to see, or you gotta wipe them down, and, you know, depending on where you're at on the road, that can definitely, you know, be a distraction as you're driving. So definitely don't advise to do that if your heater ever goes out in that kind of weather. I would get that repaired ASAP. So I talked to, it turns out Cody's dad is actually a pretty damn good mechanic. So I talked to him and I said, hey, you know what? Could you take a look at my heater and see what's wrong with it? Because last time I went to Midas, they charged me $200. It got fixed for like a week and a half, and then it went out again. And he's like, that's actually a lot of really valuable information. So he tries a few things, blah, 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 blah. And within an hour, it tells me that my fan motor for my heater's bad. And I was like, how much does that run? And he's like, well, the one in my other car runs me about like 30. But I'll let you know. We'll go tomorrow and we'll figure it out. As long as we know that they have that part at the shop we're going to go to tomorrow. And, you know, you're probably going to need a new resistor too, since that's probably what happened. Your fan motor fried your resistor. It's like, yeah, you know what? You make a lot of sense there. So, the total cost for these parts is about $100. But he did not charge me labor for it because it was such a quick fix for him. I do definitely plan on paying him for it, though. I'm not going to stiff him out like that. It was just reassuring to know it wasn't going to be like $350 or $400 through a conventional repair shop. Since the resistor at AutoZone cost me like $13, and it cost me $40 through Midas, so I can only imagine how much they would have upscaled on a fan motor and how much they would have charged me for labor. So I feel like I'm going to pay a fair rate to somebody that was very knowledgeable how to do it, very fast, very pleasant, very trustworthy as well. You know, a lot of reason to have a lot of trust going that way. So I'm ultimately kind of hyping this up here, you know, fluffing it up to be a relevant fact, because, you know, on top of doing that, he did my spark plugs, and then it felt like a new car. I was like, holy shit. And then I noticed I had an oil change coming up, so I was like, okay, let me go do that today. So February 8th is when I'm recording, and February 8th is probably when you're going to see it. So I went in, got my oil change, and they were like, wow, you got a lot of things fucked up with the car. And I was like, tell me what's fucked up with the car. And they're like, okay, well, your CV axle boots are fucked. Your transmission's leaking a little bit. You have an oil pan leak. You got a few other leaks, this, that. You got a valve cover leak, all this. And I was like, what? Can you just write this down? And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna write it down. I was like, well, can you tell me also which one I should repair first? And he's like, honestly, you should probably replace the CV axle, and that's gonna run you about $500. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I can't do this. So that goal on the stream has been reset since the, you know, car repair thing from earlier actually happened to be far cheaper than I expected. All of that money is basically just going to, that's going to his dad because he's the one that did it. He did it for around that much total anyway. I feel like that's as much as I would have paid him. So as far as I'm concerned, goal met. This is, new repair, new thing I got to struggle with. But, twitching, YouTubing, all that stuff has been pretty great for it. Work's kind of picking up a little bit too, so I'm not going to be as hung out to dry as one would expect me to be. Every little bit still helps. As a matter of fact, most of this Patreon stuff is probably going to be, buffering some of the other costs I have related to that, since I imagine I'm not out of the woods yet with this. If that's all they caught at an oil change, there's probably a lot more under the hood going on that I don't necessarily know about this car. Being me buying it at the rate that I bought it at, there's probably a few other problems floating around. But if it was enough for the guy doing my oil change to kind of raise, awareness to, it's probably something I should get addressed. So he quoted me 500. I called bullshit. Mentally, I didn't actually tell it to the guy's face. It's changing my oil. I don't want him to do anything. Not that he would necessarily, but it's like I don't want him to be in a bad mood any more so than he already is. So I get all the stuff that's wrong, and I send in a text message. I'm like, hey, you know what? I know you did my heater. I'm not asking you to do this, but I would like to know, what's roughly a quote what is a normal price that I see or I would see for this from a trustworthy mechanic. And because being quoted 500 for something, it's like, okay, well, my heater got quoted 400 and it costs like a fourth of that, maybe a third of that after labor. And he's like, yeah, you know what, both of these parts I can actually get them for 100 each, and then 100 with labor, ballpark you around 250, 300, and I can actually have one of my mechanics do an in-house, but you are going to have to leave your car for the day. And I was like, okay, well, I actually wasn't expecting to set up an appointment. I was just looking for a ballpark. But he said he's willing to do it, or at least his team is willing to do it. And it's like, holy shit, well, you know what? That saves me a fair amount, too. That's like an extra $200, $300. So I'm thinking, you know what? At that point, I might as well ask the rest of that team to fix anything else that they find, and then it'll kill my tax refund, unfortunately. But it'll be good to have that car running for another 4 to 5 years, completely worry-free is ultimately what I'm trying to get at. If I bought the car for that much, I don't want to have to save up enough money to go buy another car. I'd rather just repair existing things on this one, especially because I bought it for $1,500 under market value. It's at the point where I start to put over $1,500 into repairs that I would probably be concerned. I think I've, as of right now, put about 300 or 400. Actually, no, I forgot about tires. So probably around 800 or 900 now that I think about it. So we're probably about to break even, unfortunately. I wasn't made aware of the tires, but hey, you know what? Anybody with a car knows that this is kind of shit that happens, and I'm kind of learning it myself. So anyway, that was a shocker at Jiffy Lube, but it is an obstacle that I will hopefully tackle at some point in time. I guess the next couple of days. So, holy shit, I've been talking for 13 minutes. That's really obnoxious. Last thing I feel like I kind of want to elaborate is I have an internet friend of mine that I've known for probably about 9 years now. And she was like, so you got 2 weeks paid off for the year? And it's like, yeah, I did. So that's actually really cool. She's like, you should use one of them to come down to Florida. And I was like, I don't know about that. We'll see. And she's like, well, Muse is playing, and, I'm probably going to take the week off, to just kind of have that guaranteed as well. And then I was like, oh, fuck it, I'll kind of figure it out. And I had already made these plans basically before the car thing, but I already bought the Muse ticket. So it's like, you know what? We'll figure it out. We'll just fucking figure it out. I'm gonna have to budget really carefully to make it happen. But I mean, there's a plane ticket as well as car repairs in my future, and that is a cool paycheck that is just going to vanish completely out of nowhere. But I think I have some other income sources in terms of people that owe me money, as well as my income tax refund coming in the near future. So hopefully gonna break even, hopefully not gonna be too bad, and more importantly, shouldn't affect too much. It is going to be a week in June. I will try to plan accordingly with content and whatnot, as far as I'm able to see fit there. So I'll probably talk more about that in May as the weeks kind of lead up to it. But it is kind of a big thing, I've never been to Florida. It's well, hopefully it's gonna be disgusting out there now that I think about it. But it'll be cool to see people that I've never met and I've known them for that long. So I felt like it was a, I've needed a vacation as opposed to a staycation, and getting out of town and going to the East Coast seems like a fun idea. So, anyways, it feels weird knowing that I'm only gonna get probably around 4 views on this video, but y'all are here because you want to know, and once again, I appreciate each and every single one of you, and thanks again for tuning in. I will catch you guys in the Discord. If you guys have any questions personally on anything I've talked about, or if you'd like to ask me anything else, the Patreon channel is open for things of that nature, and or you can just DM me on Twitter, or you can private message me on Discord as well. That whole thing, since all 4 of you are probably on there as well. So anyways, that'll do it for my rambling on this, and I will see you guys next month when I got more shit to talk about. Oh, if you want me to talk about anything specific, just leave in the comments, or just give me ideas. I'll take it down on a text document and we'll kind of go from there. I'm just talking about stuff that I know on my end that has been pretty big highlights. So yeah, bye.